The Temple of Throggi. Probably the hardest level in the game, at least in my opinion. Obviously I'll be meeting enemies in later levels, which will be even tougher than the Throgs I meet on this one, but taking into account the items and spells and weapons you have right now, I really think it poses a bigger challenge than any other upcoming level. There's a bunch of Throgs patrolling around this area, and I'd love to take them head-on in melee instead of using magic, but then I'd burn through my healing items in the first 2 minutes. In melee, Throgs take a lot of hits, and they deal you a lot of damage as well. The greatest advantage of using the firebolts is that it keeps them at a distance. There's a chest here, which contains some interesting items, and which is supposed to lure you into an ambush with the 2 Throgs that I just killed, which is why I entered this passage walking backwards. I hope I'm not making this look too routine by killing them with magic. The thing is that I playtested this level more than any of the others, and actually died quite a few times doing so. I play each level in advance mainly so I can get a good route in my head, so I won't have to wander around too much. Nope, can't force my way through this fence of spears. Anyway, I've played this level in advance so many times that it's now like I know every square inch of it. It's too bad that they reused the mine background for this level once again. I know the Throgs are primitive, but you would think for their temple at least they would have laid down some tiles and brickwork. When I step in front of this door, you hear a slight crunch. That means there's a trap, so I don't want to step inside just yet. Let's move ahead a little first. Oh, another Throg ambush. If you control your rate of fire, you don't really need that many firebolts to lay down a common Throg. And this one drops a wooden dowel. That's actually a very useful item. Let's head back to that door I just mentioned. Because in the wall to the left here is a hole that the dowel fits into, which disarms the trap that is present in this room. If I hadn't done that, right now I would have a face full of Throg attack spells. Not nice.
Magic fire attack in front of the caster. Additional power increases size, damage, and range.
This is a pretty lame spell, to be honest. When you cast it, it just causes fire to flare up in the square directly ahead of you. I don't think it costs much magic, but I also don't think it causes much damage. I don't think I'm gonna find much practical application for it, but I'll show it off later. Let's move further into this corridor. The door to the left here is locked right now, so let's press on a bit. Not a whole lot of interesting stuff in these barrels. Just one route. This lever to the left, however, is very interesting. Inside this barrel I find another wooden dowel, which I will actually need, because there's another place that fits a wooden dowel in this level. Of course, I could have just taken that other dowel out of the wall again. Anyway, pulling that lever unlocks the door over here, which leads into a winding corridor with a door that leads to this. Now, don't do this, because it hurts. You wouldn't immediately think it, but this is actually a rune staff recharger. A pretty useful thing, since there's no regular mana circles in this level. I'll be making a couple of periodic stops back here, because I will need a few recharges on this level, but I'll try to do it as rarely as necessary. Alright, moving back on. Let's find some more Throgs to kill. Immediately to the left here, more Throgs on guard. I'm gonna start quite a collection of these Throg swords and shields. And there's 4 conspicuous levers on the walls here. Before we start pulling them, let's see what they might actually do. Looks like we found some prison cells. This one's already open, nothing in the hay. Hey, hey!
Domber, brother, are you all right?
Why, Farley, how good to see you. You should not be out of the clan hall. What would the elders think?
Domber, you haven't changed. Drake, we must open this cullis. Right.
Finally, we found Domber. Alright, let's open his cell. And the others. One lever's already pulled down, so that's obviously the open jail cell. Let's open all the others. Let's check the first one, just to make sure we don't miss anyone.
Another of the folk these Throgs must answer for. Aye, and they'll answer to my skill, they will.
I'm sure they will. Well, can't do anything for that guy. Second cell was unoccupied.
Domber, we have come to free you.
But these runes are so interesting. Could you come back later?
This is no time for talk. There are Throgs to kill. You can come with us. We have found many mysteries so far.
That's nice. Yes, well, the shaman has been gone for a while, it seems.
Yay! We have Domber! And he's absolutely useless.
I hope we can find a healer for him.
Nay, he has always been thus.
Drake was referring to Domber's absent-mindedness, by the way, not his low health. So yeah, Domber. He has some terrible stats. He can almost use a dagger, and he can not really use an axe and shield. Here's the thing, Domber will hold a dagger or an axe, but he won't actually use it. His weapon skill is so terrible that he can't actually attack. I'll just give him 2 shields and hope for the best. Let's check out the last cell. Empty at first glance, but there's actually a switch on the wall, which leads into an interesting corridor, which I'm not gonna enter just now because it leads into some dangerous territory, and I have more exploring I want to do first. Let's check out the next corridor. Ah, this hissing door leads into the holiest of holies of the temple, I guess. But you either need a very high strength rating in order to open it, or a certain item which I don't have just yet. What have we here? Oh, who was that? Ah! It's a frog shaman, but he's not attacking me.
My pretty little stone! Where is my stone? My little pretty stone! I lost my little pretty stone!
Okay, this guy seems harmless. Let's give him one of our many blue gems.
Oh, there is my pretty stone, my little stone. I saw you in the passage, I did, played by Throggi himself, and nobody knew. No one knew, but I did. Imprisoned, not I. Oh, my pretty stone is home. Single stone return home.
Well, I have a whole bunch of them. Maybe he'd like another one.
Thank you. Nothing like this has happened since I enchanted the green orb with poison.
Alright, note to self, avoid any green orbs. So yeah, this crazy guy was the only excuse for me picking up all those blue gems I found along the way. Nice crackling fire with some disgusting frog drumsticks. And a bucket. What use could that possibly have? Let's just bring it along for now. Nothing in these barrels. Ah.
The smell. These Throgs can't even cook right.
The thing I like about the Temple of Throggi is that it's one of the few levels in Stonekeep that actually looks functional. It has barracks, it has a kitchen, it has rooms for a few important frogs. Obviously, the Sharga mines had the excuse of being mines, which explains why they were just randomly winding corridors. But it's nice to have a level that looks like a bit more thought was actually put into its design. On we go. What's behind this door? It's a well. Oh, that's a good excuse to use the bucket. There we go. 1 charge of water. Yeah, great. And over here, we have what may be the one fire in the game that you can't actually put out with a potion. But there's something in it, so let's just use our bucket of water. In the fire, we find another magic armor ring. That goes on Drake's other finger. Really nothing in this barrel? Fine. Let's keep up the pace. Alright, there's at least one more side corridor here that I haven't explored yet. Let's head in there. I hear the sound of shuffling feet. Yup. Let's fry these guys. There we go. Frugal use of fireballs. Just to extend my use of them. There's a couple of rooms to the side here. Now, this is an interesting one. This poor frog can of course do nothing while I blast him from outside, but pay careful attention to the sound. That was the victory sound, but he's still standing, and when we step into the room, he abruptly dies. Kind of a funny glitch here. Nothing else in the room though, let's keep moving. Another private retreat. Oh, it's a frog shaman, but I have a feeling this one isn't going to be as friendly. Frog shamans are pretty damn tough opponents, and you're going to want to take them on up close, so they won't be able to cast any spells at you. Though, frankly, most of the frog shamans you meet will actually rush in for melee battle anyway. Few of them seem properly programmed to actually make use of the spells they have. I'm also going to chow down on some of my super mushrooms, and take some potions to further push up my agility and strength. Alright, let's go. I'm spinning around a lot to try and deflect some of the blows to my dwarven companions. Oh, and there he goes, casting a flame spell at me in his last breath. And he drops a broken and useless runecaster. Thanks a lot. He also drops a froggish dagger, which looks a lot like a cool Gurkha knife, but really just functions and looks exactly like a regular dagger in combat. Oh, and I think my health actually went up. That's cool. A rune scroll in the hay.
Shield rune. Target is protected from ranged attacks.
Ah, now this is going to be a very useful rune, if not really on this level. It protects you from nearly every projectile attack, for instance arrows and firebolts from enemies. We'll stash it away for now, but that will come in useful very much later. Alright, let's go back to the runecasters. There's at least one more room in this core. Oh my god! I was not expecting that guy. Guess he was standing on guard outside one of these rooms. Let's check out this one. Nothing but a pile of hay. And nothing in it, apparently. Last room. This one, at least, is important. In fact, it's a frog important enough to have his own furniture, apparently. Nothing in his barrels, but I think the idea is that you break them so he's alerted to your presence.
Well, You have come to the heart of my temple, where none but the Throg may go. By Throggi, I am Gordak, and I will see you die for that!
You have little chance of that.
Caius! Your soul will be sacrificed for Throggi, and you shall know pain. This I swear!
And he also moved in for the melee battle. Great! Gordak is, I guess, more or less the boss for this temple. Though he's definitely not the toughest guy walking around here. I try to entice him into using some of his cool shaman spells, but he's having none of it. He just feels like melee combat today. Oh well, let's gather the spoils. He drops an amulet. Whoops, looks like the excitement became too much for Domber. This amulet will actually allow me to open that hissing door I passed earlier. And he also drops a Throgish runecaster. Sweet! This runecaster has 40 charges, just like the silver runecaster I found in the Sharga mines, and it reduces the mana cost specifically of Throgish runes.
Energy Bolt Rune. Ranged attack formed from pure magic. Target loses strength. Can stun target if powerful enough.
Finally, I find another ranged attack rune. Not that the Energy Bolt rune is that great, it's pretty slow, though it can sometimes stun enemies and strike them with weakness. Alright, let's inscribe some runes on our new rune staff. Obviously the good old Firebolt and Healing will do. And I'll find a chance to show off the Energy Bolt and Flame runes later. There we go. Powered up and ready to face some more Throgs. Now there's one particular frog running around this area. The leader of all the frogs, I guess it's a frog captain or something. And he can move from one location to another in this area. And there he is. This is one seriously tough frog. The Flame and Energy Bolt runes don't do much to weaken him. And whereas I would normally just need a couple of firebolts to put down a frog, this guy can actually take a whole lot of charges before he finally dies. In my test runs for this level, this is the guy that would usually finish me off. Well, that takes care of some of the tougher frogs in this level. But they still have some nasty brothers walking around. Let's roll back a bit, so I can have a quick recharge at the old frog head, and heal up my party for what's to come. Let's revive the poor Domber. Yeah, he has the lowest health of my entire party, for shame. There we go, pumped up and ready. Let's head into unfamiliar territories. I've been in there. There we go, back to the crossroads, and now I'm heading this way. There's a bunch of rooms to the sides here, most of which don't really contain anything interesting. At the end, some furniture, and some good healing roots. Also, another one of those useless blue gems. Great. But the prize of the level is in here in these barrels. Not these skulls. Nor this extra throwing axe. first barrel contains another Throgish dagger and a longsword. The longsword exclusively does cutting damage. And that's a damage type that Throgs are sensitive to, so that's pretty useful. The other barrel contains a bow. Finally I can shoot my precious arrows again. We'll find a chance to do that later. For now, let's move on. Now, as I said, there were a couple of rooms here. I guess these are the Throg barracks, but they all contain just a pile of hay. There's just 2 rooms that contain something else, like this one, which has a coin, and the opposite number, which has a root in it. And the effect of the mushrooms and potions I took earlier apparently just wore off. Might need to refill that later. Another crossroads. This level is quite elaborate, really. Another little room, but this time there's no trap. Just a chest. Some coins and roots in here, and scrolls.
The strong rule by strength, and none are stronger than this rune.
And here we find a strength rune. Not terribly useful.
Spoil spell rune can cancel magical effects or provide magical protection.
The spoil spell rune is, well, not that useful right now, but it's gonna become a very useful spell later on in the game. The strength rune temporarily maxes out your strength, which is pretty cool, except that it lasts for just 1 minute, so it's over really quick. I usually don't bother really casting it. The spoil spell rune, well, obviously cancels any magical effect currently cast on you, so if an enemy casts a spell effect on you, you can cancel it using that. Though there's not many circumstances where that actually happens. However, late in the game it's gonna have some surprising uses. Alright, let's see what they were guarding. Now this is an interesting thing. Pull this lever and hurry down the corridor, because that lever just unlocked a door to the right, which allows you to bypass those pits you just briefly saw. Nothing in these piles of dirt. Also, the door behind me is just locked again, so I'll have to find some way to bypass those pits. Around the end of the corridor, another Throg stands on guard. Not for long, though. Let's pick up the coins he dropped. And there's also another Throg holding a boulder vial in here. First, let's put the wooden dowel in the wall over here, which opens up a room with another lever, which, when pulled, temporarily closes the pits, allowing me to pass through this area safely. The reason I saved that Throg holding a boulder vial that I found on the last level is because when you drink 2 in rapid succession, you actually gain a permanent extra point for strength. I forgot to do that on this level, but I'll do it on the next one. Alright, we're about to meet a few more Throgs.
By Throggi, intruders in the temple.
Oh dear. Now for some reason, this Throg shaman seems to actually be way tougher than Gordak, who I killed earlier. He does major damage and he's almost invulnerable. Oh, let's back up a bit. And he starts casting fireballs. Okay, we need to go about this differently. Let's grab my shiny new bow and see how he likes that. It's gonna be arrows versus magic. Who will win? this is not going quite as I expected. In my playtests, he would normally get stun-locked by the arrows, so he wouldn't have time to fire off any of his spells. Well, that's not happening this time. But he is quite susceptible to piercing damage, which is what the arrows do, so let's keep it up. There we go. Now what sucks is even though this guy is so strong, all he drops is a useless broken rune caster. Anything else in his little retreat? No, there is absolutely nothing. Let's go back to the runecaster and longsword and see if we can take out my frustration on some more Throgs. Here's a likely candidate.
You go or you die.
Doubtful, big guy. Have some fire. Oh, and there he goes. Here's something interesting. This guy actually drops an ivory key, which is what was used to lock Farley's soul in the second level. So I guess this is possibly the Throg that actually locked him in there. Finally got his revenge then. Well, we've cleared out nearly all of the level. Except for this corridor to the south.
Something is below.
Well, I'm sure Drake can do better than that using the language rune.
Beware of the things.
That's still pretty vague, but ominous as well. Just heal up, everyone. There is actually a pit beyond that door which you can drop into, and sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not gonna do it in this playthrough. I'm gonna save that for a bonus video, because there's a really tough battle ahead, which I don't want to waste my time getting into. Okay, right now I'm gonna go back to the big frog head one more time to recharge all my rune staffs, because I'm heading into the final fight of this level. We've killed all the big bad guys, but there's still a few normal frog guards around, and I'm gonna need all my mana to deal with them. Alright, that's done. Now let's head back into the area where we freed Domber, the jail cells. Because there's still that corridor in the 4th jail cell that I opened, and hadn't entered yet. That corridor is actually a secret passage leading into the center of the temple, which is where I need to go right now. Alright. One more switch to press, and we unlock the way in. Ooh, but there are Throgs running around on patrol. Let's see if we can shake this guy up a bit. Nope. Did I hit anyone? Oh, here he comes. Oh dear. This is not what I wanted. Whew. Well, that's 2 of them. Oh, but there's still one more, and this guy's a bit tougher than his buddies. Let's kite him around a bit. Wow, this guy can take a lot of punishment. Is this guy fireproof or something? Is that an asbestos shield? Oh dear, my rune staff is empty. Oh well. Looks like it's time to make use of the longsword. Frog armor is weakest in their face and on their legs, but what it really comes down to is that you should slice them in the balls a lot. Whew, okay, that was a pretty tough battle. Oh sure, but these coins make up for it. Wow, Okay, let's switch to the other rune staff and maybe heal ourselves up a bit. Well, we're nearly done with the level, so we might as well use the Orb of Aquila. Couple more guards running around in the passages. Let's try and snipe them. Hey, what have we here?
Well, what have we here?
This is...
Shh, be quiet. There might be guards.
Oh, well, yes, I suppose so. Anyway, this is a fine example of a statue of Throggi, the Throg god. From my studies, I believe Throggi to be an aspect of Kul-Kun.
Okay, here's the deal. First, let's grab the red orb, because this is the Orb of Azrael, the next lost god we find. Let's also not grab the green orb, because like the crazy shaman said, that one's poison. Now the statue has 4 stone weapons in its arms, and I get to pick one. A spear, axe, hammer, or sword. I'm gonna go with a spear. You don't want to grab another weapon, because when you do, the statue hits you with its 4 arms, and all of its weapons disappear, including the one that you actually picked up. The stone weapons aren't that great. They're heavy and pretty inaccurate, but they make for a nice trophy from this level. Let's find the last few frogs running around here. They're being a little bit elusive. I think they're standing around the corner somewhere. Come on. Oh, there we go. Trying to sneak up behind me, huh? There we go. And that's the last of the frogs in this level dead. I make a quick walk around just to make sure I've killed all of them. But yeah, they're all gone. And this door I bypassed earlier, the one with the face behind it. Thanks to Gordakar's amulet, I can now open this door, but since I killed all the frog guards, that doesn't really matter anymore, because it now stays permanently unlocked. Well, that finishes up the Temple of Throggi. Phew! With the Orb of Azrael in my inventory, this spear fence now opens. And the way is open to the next level. So I guess there's nothing left to say, but I'll see you in the next one.